Okay. First of all of you write your roll numbers in the chat box, student IDs in the chat box. And I'm going to start discussing my previous problem, the last problem that we discussed in the, I wrote in the first session. But here, in that particular problem, the vector space under consideration is the following. The vector space is V is equal to C zero comma 1. What is this? This vector space is the vector space of real valued continuous functions, real valued continuous functions defined over the interval 0 comma y or 0 comma 1. And probably you can recall that for this vector space, this sort of vector space, if we consider the function f comma g belonging to V, the inner product can be defined as the following. Define inner product between the two functions as f comma g, which is equal to integration from 0 to 1 ft gt dt. And this integration is possible because we are considering the domain to be a set of continuous functions. Okay, so we can integrate the thing. So under this inner product, this particular set becomes a vector space. Now the two vectors that has been given to you are as follows. The first function is given as t, and the second function is given as e to the power t. Okay, so how to calculate this inner product f comma g? So f comma g is actually the integration from 0 to 1 t e to the power t dt. So you just calculate this.
The first variable h is still not 0. We have to write down h equal to 0, x equal to h, k equal to y equal to 0. So if you put out ultimately this will give you h 0, h square minus 0 square divided by h square plus 0 square divided by h. Now since this is multiplied with 0, so that term will become 0. What is it? We just limit k tends to 0, hk into h square minus h square into k into h square plus k. So this will be cancelled. Now put k equal to 0. I don't know what is it. K equal to 0 will be this will be gone. H is cube by h square.
Just check whether I have done a mistake or not in calculation. Verify. If there is any mistake, you can tell me, I'll rectify. So this is how I'm just showing one part of calculation. That is how to calculate the inner product between the two vectors f and g. Similarly, you can find, I'm not going to do it. If you want, you can do it by yourself right now, or sometimes later. You can find the norm of this function f by simply taking the square root of the inner product f comma f. You can also calculate norm of g by taking the inner product of square root of the inner product of g comma g. And for f plus g, remember this thing. Probably you know this thing, that f plus g of t is simply defined as ft plus gt. How? Because we have learned it in the first chapter, in some examples of vector spaces given. So this is the how the addition of two functions are defined. This is how it is defined.
Real valued continuous functions.
Yeah. Yes. So can you recall the problem? Which problem I'm talking about? I'm telling you the page number.
Sir, it is from that book.
Yeah, it is from that book, but I'm actually trying to since probably I don't know whether you have the book or not, but I'm writing here somewhere which problem I'm actually referring. The very first chapter, you just consider this problem. The let S be any non-empty set. Let S be any non-empty set and F be any field. F be any field, and let F of S comma F denote the set of all functions from S to F. Okay, and two functions defined in FSF will be their addition will be defined in this particular manner, and their multiplication of the function by a scalar quantity will be defined in this particular manner. This is in that.
Yes, sir, I got the problem. It's example 3.
From that book, example number 3. Okay.
Page number 9.
Page number 9. So that problem, this is a special type of that sort of function. This function is this vector space is a special type of that type of vector space. Okay. And therefore you need to calculate, since f plus g of t equal to ft plus gt, so you need to calculate, what is ft, it is t, and what is gt, it is e plus t, e to the power t. So you can calculate the thing in this particular manner. Two functions are added in this particular manner. Once they are added, you have got the function, then rest is just a calculation. You can calculate norm of f, norm of g, and also you can also calculate norm of f plus g. So I'm just leaving this particular problem for you to do later on in your leisure time, to just check whether things are coming out or not. Okay. So that is another, my actual objective is to show you that is another sort of thing, another sort of problem where we can calculate the norm of the vectors. But what is so important about these two problems? I'm coming to that point part later on. Before that, I need to tell you another thing which is also very important. Another problem which I think it's also very important from examination's point of view. Example number 3. It is given that let capital A be a matrix 1, 2 plus I, 3, and I. This is a matrix, and B is another matrix which is given as 1 plus I, 0, I, and minus I. Okay. Now you are supposed to compute norm of A of this matrix, norm of the matrix B, and inner product of the matrix A with the matrix B. How will you do it? Any guess?
There is a very well-known theorem which can give you this idea for which condition.
That means, you see, when we talk about norm of A, what does it actually mean? It means that inner product of A with itself and the positive square root of that particular thing. Okay. Norm of B means inner product of B and its positive square root. So how can we calculate these inner products?
Trace of
Frobenius
inner product.
Frobenius inner products. And let us recall the definition.
Trace of B study.
Yeah. Yes.
Trace,
right.
Trace of B into A.
Yes. So we just recall that in this particular Frobenius inner product, we need to consider the square matrices only. The vector space is M, N cross N, F. And I'm just giving you the definition. You just try it at home. The Frobenius inner product is defined as trace of B star A, which is called the, and remember, this star is actually called the conjugate transpose or also known as adjoint. Remember, I have already explained it, these things in the class. This sort of inner product is called Frobenius inner product. Frobenius inner product. Okay. So by this Frobenius inner product, you can calculate the norm of these matrices and inner product between the two matrices. Okay. Now I shall deduce is very important from examinations point of view also, and also very important from many other aspects. I mean, again, I'm saying that if you do the quantum computing, you will find that Cauchy-Schwarz inequality is actually playing a very important role over there. Cauchy-Schwarz inequality, but with the help of this inequality plays a significant role in derivation of uncertainty principle. Okay, but right now at this moment, I'm not in a position to show the derivation because we are not doing quantum mechanics. But you know, if you take the optional paper of quantum computing in 7th semester, if you take it, then if I take the class, I'll show you that how Cauchy-Schwarz inequality is actually, we take the help of Cauchy-Schwarz inequality to derive that, the uncertainty relation in quantum information. By uncertainty relation, I actually do not mean the Heisenberg's uncertainty relation. I'm actually meaning the more generalized version of that is called Robertson's uncertainty relation. So I will show it later on. If you take the special paper in 7th sem, then we are going to discuss that. Otherwise, you just have to believe me that it is required in many other branches in different parts. So derivation of Cauchy-Schwarz inequality is actually very important. So let us try to derive it. Cauchy-Schwarz, or somebody say Cauchy-Schwarz inequality which is given as the modulus of the inner product x and y, which is less than or equal to norm of x multiplied by norm of y. Okay. To start with, we first must write that when y, the vector y is 0, the result is trivial result is trivial. Okay, we have nothing to prove. So we shall consider any non-zero vector y. So x is a non-zero vector. If y is zero vector, we don't have to prove anything at all. But if y is non-zero vector, then we have to proceed in the following manner. We consider a scalar C belonging to the field capital F. This field is not it's general field. It's we shall consider. We are not considering the R or C. It is general field. We are considering the scalar quantity C. And to start with, we will define the term. This is, you can say, it's a mathematical trick. In mathematics, while proving something, sometimes we use some mathematical tricks as a starting point, or in between the proof, we apply some kind of we substitute some kind of quantities to deduce the thing that is under, to prove something that is under our observation. So these mathematical tricks, if you forget those steps, you will not be able to derive this type of inequalities or some other results. If you have to mention, you have to remember those tricks always. So starting point, this Cauchy-Schwarz inequalities proof has as a starting point, it has a trick. In between the proof, there is another trick. So we can say that we can say this to be a trick number one. The trick number one means how to start the proof. We are defining the quantity. We are defining the quantity x minus cy. We are choosing it, x minus cy. This is another vector, you know. And if I consider the norm of this vector and take the square of that, this quantity is always greater than or equal to 0. Okay, which is always true because norm is length of the vector. Now that is our starting point. Rest is the calculation, and I'm going to use some properties. Up to certain point, I'm going to apply the properties of the inner products. Somewhere in between, I'm going to apply another trick, and when the actual time comes, I will tell you what is that particular trick. So this is the trick number one. Trick number one tells me how to start the problem. This is the starting point. This is how you start the problem. Now proceed with respect to the definition. Now this implies this is nothing but the inner product of x minus cy and x minus cy. Positive square root sign will not be there because I have taken the square of the norm. This should be greater than or equal to 0. Okay. Now, for the sake of our calculation, let us select x minus cy to be a. Okay. We will write here in this particular position, we will write this quantity as a for the sake of calculation. Okay, just see what is happening. Now, this means that a x minus cy, this can be written as a x minus cy. Okay, I am not writing this second x minus cy as a. I'm writing the first x minus cy as a. Okay, because I want to extract out something out of this expression. Okay, just watch me, try to understand what is happening. Once you are satisfied, then copy, otherwise not. I want to use the property. Okay, what sort of property I want to use? Let me write it over here. The one property that we have for inner product is the following: x comma y plus z. We can write it as x comma y plus x comma z. And another property that we know is similar to this: x plus y comma z is equal to x comma z plus y comma z. These are the two properties, and I want to use these two properties over here. That's why I am doing the calculation in this particular manner. If I do it directly, we may do some sort of mistakes here and there. So to avoid those mistakes, I'm writing this in a simpler way. Now we have this quantity. Now you just observe what I'm doing. We can write it as a x plus minus c y. Okay, and then immediately we can write it as a inner product ax plus inner product a minus c into y. I'm applying this rule. Just observe. So therefore, this is kind of rough work I'm doing on the side of the page. here I can write directly that this is equal to x minus cy x minus cy x plus x minus cy minus cy greater than or equal to 0. Why? Because you can resubstitute the thing. You can resubstitute a as x minus cy, and here you can resubstitute a as x minus cy minus cy like this. So we can write it in the following manner. I hope you have understood. This particular, the green colored portion is my rough work, blue colored portion my actual proof. Remember, we don't have to show it in the examination. The green colored portion, you don't have to show it in the examination. You just show, you can show the blue colored portion, but you have to mention the properties that you are using over here, that you have to do. Okay, so that's why we have done it. I'm rechecking the calculation. So x minus cy x minus cy minus c into y, and we have got this. Now I'm going to the next page. Probably you have copied it. I'm going to the next page. Now, blue colored portion, I'm writing the part of the proof. So we can write from the immediate previous step, we can write it as x plus minus c into y, that is x, and plus x minus cy, comma, minus c into y, which is greater than or equal to 0. Okay. Again here, at this position, we can apply the property, this property. So we can write it as x comma x plus minus c y comma x. Okay, and we can write it as x plus minus c y minus c y greater than or equal to 0. Then again, I am writing it as x comma s. This can be written as minus c into y x, and again here I can write it as x comma minus c into y plus minus c y minus c y greater than or equal to 0. Okay. Again, if you recall that there is one property which goes like that. I'm writing here, this is my rough work. Two more properties I am going to use at this position. One property is as follows. For a scalar c and two vector x and y, cxy is equal to c into x comma y. This is one property, and number two property is x comma cy, which is equal to c bar x comma y. Those who are interested in knowing with respect to the book that I have provided you, I am referring page number 330 for this property and page number 333 for this property. Okay. This property is from the definition of the inner product. This property comes from the theorem 6.1. We are going to implement the two properties over here. Okay. So we write it as x comma x. When the scalar quantity is with the first vector, it just comes outside. So here the scalar quantity is minus c. It is getting multiplied by the first component. So we are just writing minus c comes out and multiplied by inner product of yx. And when the scalar quantity is getting multiplied by the second component and it comes out, we have to take the complex conjugation. So minus c when comes out, we are going to take the complex conjugation of that x comma y. Here, first of all, we are trying to extract the first scalar quantity minus c, which is with the vector y. So we write minus c. And when we extract out the second one, we write minus c bar. And this becomes y comma y, which is greater than or equal to 0. Now, this becomes x comma x minus c y comma x inner product minus c bar x comma y. Why I'm writing c bar? Because I do not know whether c is real or what. I have taken the general c, so I'm writing it as c bar. You cannot write c bar equal to c. It happens only when c is real. But I'm not saying that c is real over here. So we'll write c bar, and that would be c bar y comma y, which is greater than or equal to 0. Okay. Up to this is all right. Okay. So you see, just to observe the process. Started with trick 1. We did some rough work so that I can apply the property well. Up to this, I'm just using the property. No trick is involved. Now comes the second trick. Trick number 2. A special substitution need to be done. A special substitution need to be done in this particular case. So let us substitute that. Take the scalar quantity c, x comma y, inner product of x comma y by y comma y. If we do not select the scalar quantity c in this manner, if we do not select it, you will not be able to prove the result. Remember, because whenever these stalwart mathematicians, they tried to prove something, they did many hit and trial methods, hit and trial substitutions to find out the ultimate solution. And this solution, in every part of the world, this is the only possible substitution that will help you to deduce the Cauchy squares inequality. No other substitution will help in this particular world. And this substitution is a validated substitution. So don't have to worry about it. So if I apply this particular rule, if we apply this particular rule, a particular value in this expression, we get, let us see what we get. So we write it as inner product x comma y by y comma y. And then we can write it as x comma y bar y comma y x y, and then x comma y y comma y x comma y bar y comma y and x comma y. Sorry, not x comma y, y comma y, y comma y, which is greater than or equal to 0. This implies x comma x, and that you can see, just observe this particular part. We can write it as x comma y inner product, and this yx, another property I'm going to use over here. You know that property. It comes from the definition of inner product. It says that x comma y bar is equal to y comma x. Complex conjugation of the inner product x comma y is y comma x. So I'm going to apply this over here. We can write y comma x as x comma y bar. And this second, we don't have to do anything with this. And one y and one inner product
del x del y cannot
y will cancel this.
del u into del u del y plus del x del v into del u
And
del y. So this kind of thing is very much useful to solve the problem.
okay,
Because you can
now you
think of
see
that
this is greater than or equal to 0.
as to calculate. So look at
So
it.
we can
Let's say
cancel
we have a function,
this term
x
and
is
this
a function
term
of the function of u
right away.
and we have a
And
we know that
this
this is a
implies
function of x and y, this is a function of x.
x comma x
Del u del f del x, then what is the oath is that you have to write down, you have to
Mm.
write down this the function in terms of x and y, that is you have to
inner
put
product
the
mod
value
of inner product
value of v
xy
in this function in terms of
square
x and y, and this thing is very
inner
difficult.
product yy,
I will give
which
you
is greater than or equal to 0.
to find out that, and then you have to
And
find
this
out the,
implies
value del f del x. But if you put it on the very simple, you need not to do it.
norm of x
Just if you
greater than or equal to
separately, you can
mod
find out
xy
del f del
square
y
by
and del f del v.
inner
So
product
you
y
just
comma y,
del u del x and del
which
u
is
if you use this particular formula, you get it. Now,
okay,
in
and
this
that is nothing but
discussion,
norm
we
of
take
x
another
square
function,
norm of y
which is
square
the
greater than or
function
equal to
uv, and think about it, that u and v is the function of
and I'm writing here
that becomes the
star,
possible combination. So
which is norm of x into norm of y greater than or equal to mod of inner product x comma y, which proved the desired result, which is called the Cauchy-Squarge inequality. Just a minute, a phone is coming, call is coming, I'm going to receive it. Hold on a second. Now, have you I'm asking all of you, have you understood how to prove this particular result? The proof of the result.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
But if you look at the book, I mean the book that I have provided you, those few students are actually following the book, I know very well. If you go to flip to page number 334, if you have it, whether soft copy or hard copy, whatever. Page number 334, the proof is written in a particular way, very short form. I mean, so many steps you can just, I want you to follow that in book, there is no provision of writing many things. Now, they have just given you the tricks and some parts. Okay, they have written, just look at the part where they have written x comma x, inner product x comma x, and they have written minus c bar into x comma y. And they have written,
Yes, sir. They have just written in the end that we have used C to prove D.
yes. So that is if you, they have I mean reformed the things in that particular manner, but their trick is actually they have applied the same two tricks. One trick is the starting one, the starting point, norm of x minus cy whole square greater than or equal to 0, and another trick is the substitution for the scalar quantity c. Now this, if you want to forget everything about Cauchy-Squarge inequality, after once the class ends, forget how do you actually prove this Cauchy-Squarge inequality. What you need to remember are the following three things. First, you need to remember what is the form of Cauchy-Squarge inequality. What is the form? You have to remember that it is norm of x multiplied by norm of y greater than or equal to modulus of the inner product x comma y. That is the first part. Never forget it. As a starting point, you just remember that when Cauchy-Squarge inequality is given to us, we have to start with this norm of x minus cy whole square greater than or equal to 0. That is my starting point. Then forget everything that I have written here at this part. You just break the items, substitute, find the this long expression, the inner product where 4 terms are there, xx, c into yx, c bar into xy. Up to this you do. You don't have to remember these steps. If you can remember the properties of the inner product, that will be good. Third point that you must remember is, once you come at this particular point, Then you have to substitute the value of C. What is that substitution? You have to recall inner product xy divided by inner product yy. Then again you forget everything. Substitute and you can reduce the inner product or Cauchy-Schwarz inequality always. So these three parts are the hardest. These two parts are actually the hardest part of remembering the two tricks. Otherwise, Cauchy-Schwarz inequality is not that difficult. Okay. And the other two parts, the triangle inequality, and you see in page number 333, two more problems are given. That is, the part A is written that when we multiply the vector x by the scalar quantity c and we take the norm, it is similar to multiplying the norm of the vector x by the modulus of the scalar quantity. And when x equal to 0, norm of x is equal to 0. Otherwise, norm of x is always non-negative. This you try by yourself. It is these are the easy proofs. We don't have to worry much about this. Okay, so my time is also running out. I have please join in the next session, third session of today's class, last session actually. And then I'm going to discuss further on this particular topic. Let's not start here in this particular session.